What is up, Flockers? That is my fellow lockers and aspiring lockers. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you some Microloc tips, so if you're interested in that, then stick around. Getting right into tip number one, I would say it is to wash your hair regularly. Now, there is some misconceived notion that the dirtier your locks, the quicker they'll lock, the better they'll lock, and I will speak on my own opinion, but I do not find that to be true. I find that clean hair locks better, that clean hair locks faster. The washing process and all of that actually helps your hair to lock faster. It being clean helps it to lock faster, and it's just nicer when your hair is clean and smells fresh. Now, I'm not telling you if you've got day one locks or you have a super loose curl pattern to go out and wash your hair every day or every other day. You have to find what works for you. If you have a loctician, make sure that you're consulting with your loctician and going off of what they're telling you, and kind of fill out yourself, because you need to find what's gonna work for you. But I think it is very important to wash your hair regularly. Do not be afraid of water. Do not be afraid to wash your hair. Get in there and scrub it. If your locks are more mature, then you can really get in there and scrub. If your locks are, like I said, in a starter phase, or if you got a looser curl pattern and you're susceptible to unraveling or them coming undone, to make sure that you take measures to either cover up your head with the stocking cap or something before you go in with your shampoo or whatnot to wash your hair, so that way your hair does not come unraveled. I do have a video on how you can use a stocking cap to prevent your hair from unraveling when you have starter locks or a looser curl pattern. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out after you finish watching this video. My second tip with Microlocs is that I feel like you need to wash your hair thoroughly. Now, one of the great things about locks and Microlocs is that you're not bound to this world like you were before, where you have to take forever and have a million products and have 2 hour long wash days. But with that said, that doesn't mean that you need to have 2-second wash days either. Now, there are some times where, I'm not gonna lie, I go in and I wash my hair super quick, and I'm not that great about rinsing everything out because I'm in a rush and I need to be somewhere, but I need my scalp to be clean. I'm not talking about that. But on a regular basis, when you are washing your hair, you want to be thorough about washing the products out, whether you're washing out products that you've put in your hair, whether you're washing out the shampoo or the conditioner that you're putting in your hair, or if you've processed your hair with chemicals and you're dyeing or lifting your hair or whatever it may be. Make sure that you're washing your locks out thoroughly, because whether it's products that can damage your hair over time, like chemicals that are staying in and continue to eat away at your hair if it's not washed out or rinsed out properly, or you're just talking about product buildup or the products getting heavy in your locks and weighing them down over time, none of that is good. You don't want that long term. So just take the time to spend a few extra minutes and make sure that you're thoroughly washing your hair out and rinsing it out when you're doing these things with your locks. The third thing on my list with Microlocs and tips for starter Microlocs and throughout your entire journey is to listen to your hair. And this is a big one for me. I preach this on my channel. I think it is important to listen to your hair and listen to it and act on that. Now, I know it's important when you have a loctician to listen to their advice too, but even your loctician, nobody knows your hair better than you do. Nobody was born with this head of hair coming out their scalp except for you. So you know what works on your scalp. You know what you're allergic to. You know what might break you out. You know what is going to cause itching or irritation or whatnot. So if you know something's not going to work for your hair, then don't do it. Or if you know that something does work for your hair, then maybe it's worth trying out. And I know that sometimes there's a different set of rules for when you're locked compared to loose natural or perm, whatever it may be, but it's still important to listen to your hair, knowing yourself, and trusting that you have your best interest at heart. And in that, for me, and again, this is for me personally, but when I'm listening to my hair and myself, that means that I'm using oil and conditioner on my locks. Before I had locks, I had to use oil because my scalp and my hair gets very dry. So even as a locked natural, I still use oil, and I still use conditioner because, again, with my hair being dry and it can feel brittle and stuff, so I like to use conditioner to bring that life back, to soften it up and things of that nature. Now, that's not gonna work for everybody. If you know that putting conditioner in your hair makes it super loose and is gonna just completely make your locks fall out, then obviously don't use conditioner. But if you're far enough along in your lock journey where you don't have to worry about your locks coming unraveled, and maybe you want them to be a little bit more soft, you want them to be more conditioned, then maybe you need to look into using a little bit of conditioner. Now, for me, I'm not deep conditioning for 10, 20, 30, 50, an hour, 2 hours, or anything like that. I am putting conditioner on my hair in the shower, and it probably sits on for a minute, 2 minutes max. Sometimes probably not even that long. Sometimes it might be literally 30 seconds, but I'm putting conditioner and I'm telling you it makes a huge world of a difference. My fourth tip for your locks, Microlocs especially, is to make sure that you are wrapping them up. Not just at night. A lot of times you come on these platforms and people tell you to make sure you wrap your hair up at night, which is important to wrap your hair up at night. But I think it's also important to wrap your hair up when you're doing other things. If you're cooking certain foods where there's smoke, like you're grilling out, or you're out cutting the grass, and so those fumes and dust and stuff, you don't want all that dust and dirt getting into your hair. You don't want those smells getting into your hair, because locks are like sponges, and just like they might soak up water, they also soak up those fumes, those smells, gasoline, anything like that that has a strong smell to it. If you're cooking fish or other certain types of foods, that smell will stay in your hair, and you're gonna have to smell it, and other people that are around you are gonna have to smell it. The fifth tip on my list for your locks is do not overprocess them. Now, I am of the firm belief, do what you wanna do with your hair. If you wanna experiment with color, go ahead and experiment with color. Again, not on day one, but once you've gotten to a certain point in your lock journey where you feel like it's safe and your locks aren't gonna come undone or anything like that. I had my locks dyed, probably ombre effect, for an entire year. And I did it myself, and I ended up processing them twice to get the color that I wanted, to get it lifted to a certain level. But what I'm saying is, don't overdo it. Don't be trying to dye your hair every 2 months, and because it's gonna be damaging. But one thing that you have to know is, again, listen to your hair and know your hair. If you couldn't do it as a loose natural, don't try to do it as a lock natural. If you know that your hair doesn't take well to bleach or lightening lifters, and that it just breaks off and snaps off. Now, granted, you might not have your hair breaking off and snapping off like it did when you were a loose natural, because there's 100, 200, 500 hairs in one lock, but your hair is still your hair. It's still gonna react the same. So even though you might not see it breaking off, it's still breaking off, and it's gonna cause damage in your locks. They're gonna thin in random places and start breaking off, and that's not the business. So don't overprocess your locks. And another one that I want to add, number 6 on the list, which I think is very important, is do not pick lint out of your locks if it's not on the surface. Now, I know nobody likes to see lint in their locks, especially when you have darker locks and it just stands out like a sore thumb as your locks get longer and they're brushing on your shoulders, or if you're wearing sweaters or scarves, especially in the colder months, and your locks start to pick that stuff up. You don't want that stuff embedded in your locks. I get it. If it's on the surface and you can easily pick it out, then go ahead and get it off, because you don't want it to get embedded in your lock. But if you have pieces of lint that are embedded in there and you're having to use tweezers, or you're having to use like a pick or something to get it out, please do not do that, because you're going to mess up the integrity of your lock. And it can be so addicting, because you start getting in there and you see the lint coming out, but then you see you got to dig deeper to get all of it. And what you end up doing is you mess up the integrity of the lock. You start making it thin, and then it never fills back out the way it does. So even if it doesn't snap off while you're doing it, that lock is never going to be the same. If you've been digging and picking at it, it's never going to feel the same. It's never going to look the same. And all to get that lint out. At the end of the day, is it really worth it? Maybe for the people that have the OCD with it, then maybe it is. But what I do, I dye my hair, once a year, once every 6 months, however often. But I'm just gonna dye it black and dye over that lint that's embedded in there. Again, if it's on the surface, I'm gonna just go ahead and pick it out. But if it's in there and I'd have to get in there and really, really dig, I'm sorry, but it is now part of my lock, and it is on this journey with me. So let's go down this road together. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that thumbs up button so that I know what type of content you're enjoying, and also hit the subscribe button so that you can join the flock. And before you go anywhere, check out some of the other videos that have popped up on the screen. I'll see you there.